Hi, it's Kevin Greenough from Blum. We're talking about the second part of the REVEGO Uno, REVEGO Duo systems, where we're talking about the planning and design phase. Where we're going to start is at the Blum Canada webpage. So here we have the Blum Canada Blum.com, and at the top right we'll see the E-Services application. So when I click on the E-Services, we're going to go to the E-Services. Now we have to be a registered user to be able to see this, and all that is free to do. There's no charge to it, and once you get to the application, you'll start to see a few of the icons here. You see a lot more because it's mine, and what you'll see is the Product Configurator and Cabinet Configurator to be the main two that we need. With REVEGO planning, I'm going to use the Product Configurator. When I click on Product Configurator, keep in mind that Blum doesn't just make REVEGO. We make a lot of other products. When we start seeing the opening session here, we see a little pop-up, and I recommend to always allow these things to show, because as we get new products or new updates along the system, you'll be able to be aware of them right away. So right now we're showing you the new short version REVEGO, which is what I'm going to talk about later on, and this is a good way to start into it. So when I go to the main page, you'll see the pocket systems as a pure icon in its own right, along with the new box system called Marivo Box. We also have My Library and My Projects. So when we make these things, you can save them and they will go into their respective category. Now, if I scroll down, you'll be able to see all the other products that Blum makes. But we're going to focus on the pocket system. So I go to Configure Now, and you'll see the opening credits with regards to what REVEGO is, explain to you some of the benefits and advantages of using the Blum REVEGO system, including the image you see here where it shows where all the efforts that we do is focused on the factory. That's where everything is anyways when we do the manufacturing. So why take what we have, all the experience and all the knowledge at the factory, and move it off to some residential site? Let's control it at the factory. So I'm going to go here, hit close that window, and we're going to start the process of the configuration. Here we see the REVEGO options. Now we have a niche planning, a freestanding application, as well as the fronts, or the number fronts. Because I work with I do know our panel heights, I'm going to work with that first, because since I do know those parts, I will backfill the data through the system automatically, so long as I have all that data there. So with the front width and number of fronts, that's where I'm going to start. And we're going to build the tall one first. So I do know that I'm going to work with a Duo on the left and an Uno on the right. So there's going to be 3 panels. So I'm going to hit 3. And obviously you see these minimum requirements, 1, 2, 3, or 4 pieces of door panels. So I can go a singular Uno with 1, I can do a Duo with 2, or I can go, as I'm doing today, a Uno and a Duo, or just 2 Duos. So the maximum of 4 doors. So my front width is optional because there are data along the way that I can start creating, and it'll start creating those. But I do know that the panel I'm working with on the front width is 696 millimeters. So I'm going to plug that in. And the left gap, or as the term here is being used, is the left joint, but the gap left, I'm going to use 1. And as you see, I have a minimum of 1 to 4 mil max. So I'm going to hit 1. I'm going to keep the 1, which is auto-populated, to keep it equal on both sides. And because I'm going to do gaps between the doors, they're all going to be symmetrical all the way through. I'm going to use 2 mils there, and you can see that the 2 millimeter option was highlighted. Now there is a minimum of 2 upwards to 8 millimeters, but we're going to use 2. Now, as you can see, as I get into the system, we see that we have the option to move forward. Now, because I'm using a system based out of Austria, which we will be able to use in pure English, you'll see some terms that are in German, and this one being farther, meaning next. So when I click on next, I go to the next phase of the planning. From there, you'll see that I have many options available, but only 2 that are very clear. These are grayed out options because I'm not planning within the space that it's being allowed to work with. Obviously, I said 3 fronts, so these are the 2 in the singles which aren't available. And here are the 3 front applications I'm going to work with. And down below we have the 4, which is 2 duos and a singular duo. So because I said I was going to do a duo on the left versus on the right, I'm going to pick that Duo Uno. And from here we get to choose what we're going to work with. And as I've said, we do have the new tabletop version. Well, here's where I start making that information available. I'm going to be working with the tall one first. So I'm also going to be able to work without a toe kick versus with a toe kick. And we call that term a plinth, being the toe kick. So when I go to without the base, which is to the floor. I'm going to work with a pocket material thickness of 19 millimeters, and that is there. Next. So here we talk about the height of the cabinet. We're going to talk about the gaps, and this is a little piece of information that's very important to recognize. So when we click on the option here, we have the min and max from 0 to 6 millimeters of gap. Now, when I click on the magnifying glass on the image, it's very, very specific about what we mean by gap. The gap to us is the door against the pocket side. Now, what we see here is the image of that there. We have the gable or the pocket, and then we have where we talk about the door gap. Now, there is a 10 mil plate above that, which is not included in the gap. So you have to keep in mind that in your design, we have that ability there to put this gap. That gap is there mainly for us to be able to lift the door on and off of the application. So minimum of 10 millimeters is what's needed. So I'm going to use the bare minimum of 0. So I'm keeping the panel and the door flush. And the next one is at the bottom. Now there's a minimum between 7 and 13, but again, as I zoom in on the bigger picture, we're still measuring the gap against the panel on the side versus the door. And when I do a floor mounted version, there is a 3 mil plate at the bottom. So 7 plus the 3 is going to give me a 10 mil minimum gap at the bottom, and that allows me to open the door across a flat floor. Now, if you aren't sure about the levelness of the floor around your application, you can easily increase it up to a maximum of 13 millimeters plus the 3 millimeters of gap. So we're looking at a 16 millimeter space from the floor to the bottom of the door panels. So I'm going to use 7 as the minimum. And here we talk about the panel thicknesses for this one here, this what we call the intermediate floor thickness, which is actually not the floor as we know it, but the floor underneath all the hardware. This is what hides it from your customer, and that way it makes it all nice and clean on the inside. So we also look at the 19 millimeter being spec because we've used 19 already through the planning process. Now this is they call it the barrel cover thickness, but it's actually like a fascia panel, and it's attached to the front moving, the rail that moves our door left and right with the Duo application. I'm going to keep it at 19 mil as well, although there is a recommendation between minimum of 15 and 19, but because we're using 19 throughout, it's easy to keep it there. Then we talk about the front height. Now, because I do know what the front height is, and we're talking in this application of height now, I'm going to put in the 2108 millimeters of door height that I have. So from here, we have a pop-up that says we have a lot of optional data coming as well. Because it's all backfilling the information, as we click next, it's just going to do the automatic math for me. I don't have to worry about measuring specific criteria because it's going to make it all there for me. Now it says don't show this message again. Never do that because it's always great to see what it's asking or warning me about in the future. So I go okay. So from here, all the details is there, and the next orange button is lit, so that means I've answered all the questions on this page that I need to do. And as I click next, we'll go to the next page. Now, as we see here on the next page, it's all the data that's been added in the page before, just filled in with all the automatic. So I did say I was working with a 696 wide door, perfect. And now we're looking at the full width of the application and information and details. So when I go to next, we'll go to the next application or the next page here. From here, we're talking about the door thickness. Now, I have a range between 18 and 26. And one of the things to be aware of is that when we use thicker doors inside a fixed dimensional pocket, we're actually going to expand in. And with all our functional hardware being on one side of the panel, we risk the doors making contact with them if they're not moved in straight. Now, when we start talking thicker doors, we automatically put in what we call door buffers or scuff guards. These are little rollers that are implemented into the design, so that way it'll guide the door safely in without any touching of parts. But that starts at 23 millimeters. So I'm using a 19 mil door. So what it'll do, it'll show up as an option further on down into the application process as an option purely. Now, if I made it 23 millimeters, I have no choice in the matter. It's going to mandate that in. And what's good is that it also creates all the CAD data and all of the drilling positions necessary in the system, so I don't have to worry about it. So with the 19 millimeter door thickness, we'll move down into what we see here. Now, what we see is the standard nominal length of the hardware front to back that's going to be installed in the pocket. Now, the default, as you see here, in 675 is the application of the hardware, so I don't have to trim it. Now, if I wanted to decrease the front protrusion of the door, or the door coming out of the pocket when it's inside, I can create using the longer application of 750 millimeters, but it'll require me to trim it down. So without having to make any trim work necessary, I'm gonna have a door protrusion listed here at 36 millimeters. I'm gonna keep it as the status quo because I'm satisfied with that 36. You may not, so we can make that change, but right now we'll just stick with the standard. Now, we also see that because we're mixing and matching with regards to a single door and a double door, the protrusion isn't going to match. So I want to make some synchronization there. So I'm actually going to go back. Well, actually, I'm going to first put in the back of the pocket. I'm going to make that 19 mil materials, and that is there. So here we got door protrusions of 36 and 11. So I'm going to change this to 11 as well to match. And as you can see here, it automatically changed the 750 millimeter profile because the 675 wasn't long enough. So now I've got 11 and 11. Now, because I have optional information, I'm okay with that because I'm building this to fit the application I'm working with. So I'm going to go next. And what we see are now, with this page, some of the accessories that are available. Now we have the door support, which is going to be used in the Duo application, and it's mounted at the bottom, and we call it a toe kick support. We do have a lot of rigidity at the top because that's where all the control is. And as the taller doors get, as we get super tall, we might have some flex at the bottom, and we can support that even further by putting in this toe kick support, which will ride inside the cabinet as it opens and closes. So I'm not going to need it because I am very confident in the flex of the REVEGO. It's not dramatic, so I'm going to say no to that. Now we do have an option here listed. It says a contact switch holder for electrical equipment. Unfortunately in Canada we don't support that program. It is mainly a European-based unit, so it's obviously there, but it will be as a no. And that grazing protection, that's the door buffer. It'll actually state door buffer in our application. And I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna add it just to be safe and sure in case my young child is a little rough with it, and I don't have to worry about it. So for what it's worth, a little bit of redundancy, it's well worth it. And so with our planning, when we do all the output for the CNC, we do need a 13 millimeter drilling depth. So we require a 14.5 millimeter system screw. Now, I don't have them in stock, so I'm gonna say yes, and it's gonna now automatically place it into my order list. And we do have the option down below for expanded T, but we're not using thin front, so it's not necessary. Now, from this, I've got all the data. Now it's all about reviewing and seeing what comes out of it. So when I go to see the result, now we see the overall view of what we've just planned. Now, I did mention CAD data. So with this 3D view, it is the data that's supporting it in all the CAD formats. So as you can see here in a 3D rendition, all the details are very well laid out in a CAD related program. Also too, to note, all the individual parts are there in a CAD program. Now, when I say CAD, computer assisted drawing, everything is a DXF based, but we do have applications for specific software. So you can actually choose from the multiple opportunities that we have for software planning and pick the one that's right for you. Otherwise, the DXF based is where we're at. So from this page, we see all the details that I've entered in, and we start to see the parts list. And what's good about our parts list is we'll also give you a visual diagram about what it looks like. Planning and design. One of the very good images that I like to talk about is a top elevation drawing. Now, everybody knows when they look at their draft drawings and planning out their designs, whether it be for any living space in the house, it really doesn't matter. REVEGO will fit it all. It'll start giving you all the dimensionals for the space. And you can easily go back into the system and say, let's just say the 2094 millimeters of space requirement that I was looking for, I may need to have changed it because I've done a final site elevation or dimensionals there, and it either shrunk or grew, but I want to fill it. I easily go back to the width part and I change it. And it parametrically changes everything through the application with just a couple clicks. So I'm good with everything now so far. And when I look at cutting list, we'll start seeing some of the details, some of the parts that I need to cut, and the assembly and adjustments. So what you see here is all the assembly instructions that come in the packaging in a PDF format, so I can reprint them if I need them. And also too, all the videos. What we have become really well known for is the high level of instructional videos that you will see for the REVEGO. It is a step-by-step process of how to install, how to plan, and how to adjust the functions of REVEGO. And these are also available to your installer on an application that he can put on his phone, whether it's with a Android or Apple-based, is called the Easy Installation app. All these videos are at their fingertips, so there's no more guessing, no more concerns about whether or not I know what I'm doing or what somebody else knows what they're doing. We're going to be very well versed in all the details right at their fingertips. So this is all here, and when you do your very first REVEGO, I highly recommend going through these videos and just watch them as a play-by-play to understand the process before you get into all the boxes and all the big parts. And it becomes so much easier because as you see in the video, as you see in paper. So from here, I'm going to go to the actions, and I have choices here. Add to a library, add to a project. I can add it to an order list. And what I'm gonna do immediately is add to project. That saves it. Because if I don't save it, I won't be able to come back to it. So if I'm gonna add to project, I'm gonna create a new folder, and because this is brand new for me, and I can call this project 99 because it's at 99 whatever street, whatever you want to call it, it's easy. So when I hit save, you'll see that the folder is there. I'm gonna select that, go there, select, and add. So now I have saved it. Now I don't have to worry about if I accidentally hit another button. I'm going to be safe and secure there. Now we do have other options here. Because I'm internal, you'll see this order management tab, which you will not see. But if I want to transfer the parts to a distributor, I can. But I'm going to talk about the other details here. The CAD CAM data, there's lots of options here. Production drawings, like I said, is all DWG, DXF based. We also have CAM data for specific machinery. And we also have drilling programs and different types of applications with all the software. Now we go back here, and we also have the configuration details. This is either an Excel spreadsheet that I can punch out with all the details, or a PDF. I recommend the PDF because it'll give me everything I need to see and do with regards to the REVEGO application I've just planned. And when I download it, you'll see as a PDF. I recommend that you also print this, and it joins it in the shop. So that way you can confirm all the parts very easily and understand where all the holes are going to be. As you see here with the download of the PDF, I'm going to open it up, and you're going to see the application that we've just designed and all the details with regards to the cabinet application, parts list, any barcodes. If I'm a larger corporation, I require some of the information for my systems, I can acquire them here. And we also look at some of the pertinent details from a designer perspective about how far of space do I need. If I was going to have an island out there, I got to know how far this door is coming out and the minimum spaces I need, so we're going to provide it there. This is that drawing again about a top elevation, showing me that width and depths that I need to work with, and some details with regards to the application. Now, this is also a front elevation, even though it's cut, showing me the gaps at the bottom, the gaps at the top, my door size, my pocket size. That's kind of my vertical elevation. So if I know I've got maybe some sort of restriction that got built in after and I got to make some adjustments, I go back into the software and make the adjustments. Now, if you have to make adjustments after, it's not recommended because we've based everything on the criteria of the details we've planned here, not modified after the fact. So if you require any modifications, you've got to start right from the beginning or make those requirements in the data so we can get the right drilling positions and cut data afterwards. So I'm going to go back to the Product Configurator and show you how easy it is to order all these parts. Because when I look at the parts list, there is a lot there, obviously. And obviously, I don't want to make any errors because it's a very important product. So I'm going to go to transfer to distributor. And from there, no matter where I am in Canada, I can create an output for my distributor rep to understand. Some have an online shopping basket, some don't, but I can accommodate for both. So I'm gonna pick out my distributors. And because I'm working from an Austrian platform, you can see all the Austrian distributors. But when we talk about Canada, we're gonna see the two main distributors with online services, as well as all the other distributors across the country. And from there, if they don't have online services, I can output the data in an Excel spreadsheet and easily email it to my representative and say, hey, so-and-so, I need to order my REVEGO. Here are all the parts lists. Please let me know when you have a chance to process the order for me. So from there, it's that simple to transfer it out. So from there, I am going to take the data. I'm going to take the, like I said, we have the CAD CAM interfaces. I'm going to export it out to whatever application I need, process all the information for the drilling of the board panels that we need for the REVEGO. Now, because I'm at Blum Canada, we're not a cabinet shop. I'm just going to pretend that I've sent it already out to a local cabinet maker if I don't have an own CNC, or put it into my own CNC if I do, process the panels, and then the next step will be going into production, and we'll show you how to. Before we jump into the shop to start the assembly of the REVEGO, what I want to do is I'm going to show you the countertop application, because the new version, or the updated version of REVEGO, allows us to create a shorter tabletop application. So again, I got to go to the Product Configurator. I'm going to start the application of the REVEGO, and again, like I've said previously, we'll start to see the pop-ups of new products or new information or technical updates that need to be looked at, and right off the bat, we're showing you the tabletop version of the REVEGO right off the front page. So I'm going to say OK to close that, and I go to the Product Configurator, do the configure now for the pocket system. Right off the bat, again, showing you that we must rely on the factory to do all the work. The installer is just installing a big, tall, narrow cabinet with some doors, and it's very simple. So with this, we'll go to the product application. So because I'm working with an Austrian base, it showed me that I need to translate some of the details here, so that's okay. So REVEGO, I'm going to go to the, I'm going to have three options. I can do with the outside dimension, which is called the niche. I can do it with what I'm working with on the inside. Like say I had a set width of cabinetry or an application inside, and I needed to work from the inside out. But because I know how tall the door panels that I'm going to work with, I'm going to do with the front width and number of fronts. Now I'm working with a Uno on the left and a Duo on the right. So I'm going to put 3 fronts, and because of the front width is there, I'm going to punch in the 596 millimeter door width, and I'm using 1 millimeter gaps left and right and a 2 mil between fronts. So I'm going to do the 1, and the 2 is there. So I'm going to go next, which is in German father. So I'm going to go next. And because of the door requirements and the panel requirements, it's giving me the applications that are highlighted in more clear vision, what I'm going to work with. And because I said a Uno Duo, that's what I'm going to select. And as you can see, now I have 3 options. I haven't dictated the height yet. So now I'm going to go to the tabletop application, or the top mounted system. I'm going to work with a panel thickness of 19 mil materials. And I'm going to go next. And the joint or the gap at the top, and again, another specific detail to be paying attention to. So when I click in the option here of that, the 0 to 6 millimeters is what we talk about is the gap between the panel and the door. And with the zooming in on this image here, you'll see what I'm talking about. So there's our pocket panel, and that's regards to the gap and how the door sits against it. We will have a 10 millimeter plate at the top, so that gap is not inclusive of that. So that gap is not including the extra 10. So when we talk about design and all that, which I leave to the designers, they've got to work within that parameter. That space allows us to lift the door off and on the application itself, which is why we need it. So, and again, when we look at the bottom, so I'm going to make that 0. And when I look at the bottom, it's the same thing applies. It says between 3 and 6. Now, that is again the gap here, and I need to know that what is it I'm going to use. And depending on the application, I'm going to create the gap that's necessary for it, because we can either have it flush on the countertop or setting embedded in. I'm going to make this, I'm just going to max it out to 6. That way I can have it clearing. Now we get a bunch of questions here. Now it's just saying that what number I've selected and what it's meaning. It's just a short description, and we can look at that details as we move ahead. So I do know the front height, and the front height for me was 1,163 millimeters. Now, when I specified the countertop application, the door height is a minimum of 1136, which is, pretty typical of an upper cabinet. So we can work within a certain range of doors at a minimum of 1136 to 1800 high in this tabletop application. So I'm going to work at 1163 for the application that I have. And just saying now that, again, as in the previous situation, all the data that I'm putting in now has a math requirements for a lot of the optionals. And if I don't put it in, I don't have to worry about it. It's going to backfill that data for me. So I'm going to hit OK. And now that detail is there. And when I click next, we'll go to the next planning phase. With this information, it's just reviewing all that data that I had put in before, including some of the optional data. So when I hit click, we get into the next phase. From this phase, we look at how thick of the door we're going to use. And still the range with the tall system as with the shorter version that we're going to use, the range is between 18 and 26. Be aware that at 23 millimeters above, we have these door buffers that get included, mandated into the system. We have no choice as an option. It's fixed there, because if the door isn't moving smoothly in, like say my young child was a little rough with it, there is a risk as the doors get thicker that it could make contact with the hardware, and these buffers will eliminate that, that worry completely. So if I did put it less than 23, and in this case we're actually going to use 19 mil material for our doors, the door buffers or the spacers come up as an option instead of being mandated. Now here we've got again, front to back definition for the pocket. And with regards to that, if it's telling me it's a 600 millimeter front to back system, I don't have to cut anything to fit. I do have the option to select some others to manage the gap or the protrusion of the door outside of the pocket. But as you see here, I'm gonna have 11 millimeters of protrusion out of the pocket. 7 is the minimum, so that's pretty close. I'm not gonna bother changing it to make a cut to a system that I don't really need to. So, and the same thing goes with the other side. We're getting a door protrusion of 11 millimeters. And when I change put the back in there, which is going to be 19 as well, that we've been using all along, we're going to create other information there. So what we're seeing here is the pocket depth is an optional. Because I've fixed the doors to or I already knew the panel thickness, I'm just gonna leave that data. It's already unchanged. And when I click in next, we get to the page where there are some accessory options. When we talk about the Duo option, being on a countertop, if I had something that was going to be nested behind it and I wanted to put in an extra support for that double door application, I could select the what we call a toe kick support, but I'm not going to have anything behind it, so I won't be able to use it. And again, as we see here, it does ask me about a contact switch support. It's not available in Canada. It's a system that is catered to the European market, but there are other options in there if you wanted to do other options available in our marketplace if you want to do a cutoff, but we leave that up to the cabinet maker and the designer to decide that. So the grazing protection, that's our door buffers I was talking about earlier. Because I just want to make sure I have a level of support and security in case somebody wants to be rough with it. My young child can't get that high up and he's being a little rough with it. I'm going to say, you know what, I'm just going to put him in just as a secondary level of redundancy. If I didn't have any system screws for the application of screwing all the parts, I will order this as a list number, and because when we do the CNC application, all holes are going to be 13 millimeters deep, I'll be using a 14.5 millimeter system screw. And the Expando T is for our thin front systems, but we're not using a thin front, so we're just going to go to the result. At the result page, we'll see that we have all the details that we've worked with previously. And because I've said it's all CAD based, we see a 3D view, which is basically all the CAD data for that tabletop application. If we saw what we built in a large version, you can see that this is significantly smaller. And all the parts are all DXF based, and we can get individual parts for planning if we needed to get into that kind of detail. So if I scroll down, again, we see all the details I've put into the application, into the product configurator to get what we're at now. We have a parts list, including pictures that help us describe what we've got in front of us, the planning and design, and again, one of the better pictures I like to share with everybody when we do the planning is this image here. That's like a top elevation. It's telling me the space inside that I'm going to be needing, the space on the outside that I'm going to be using, and that way I can make sure that it's going to fit within my application. When we deal with a tabletop system, usually we're fitting it within an application, so at least we can confirm that we have all the right details. And when we look at the top or the front elevation, we get to see what the door to the pocket is, and I will show you that when we download the configuration details into a PDF. Now we have a cut list, all the parts that we're going to need to visit, including all the panels and cut pieces. And then we also have assembly and adjustment. These are all the PDFs that are included in the boxes, so we can externally print them. And also too, if we scroll down a little farther, what we're known for is the amount of detail that we put into the assembly videos, and this is of no exception with the new REVEGO. It's a step-by-step process on how to install, how to even plan it, but also how to manufacture and install it with the installer and any adjustments necessary. And also keep in mind that your installer has this also at his fingertips. We have the Easy Installation app by Blum that you can download for either an Android or an Apple product. It will have all these videos, including the PDF documents. So that way, if they're on site and they didn't have a piece of information or weren't sure what to do, they can call up a video and it'll show them exactly what needs to be done and how it's got to be done. So it's a very useful tool also for the install side, let alone for us today as we're seeing in the planning side. So on the right, we have to save this because if I don't save it, all this work is for naught. So I'm going to go add to project. And because I had originally, we'd planned a larger version of what we called Project 99, it's showing up as the project that I'm working for. So I'm just going to add this one there. So now I've saved it. I don't have to worry about losing it. So I'm going to go back, and I did talk about downloading the configuration details. So this is a PDF option for all the details that we've looked at here on the screen, but also I can also put it as an Excel spreadsheet, but it won't get as many details. It'll get more of the technical with the part numbers and stuff like that. But with the PDF, we get a bigger picture of the program. So I'm just going to download those. When it's finished downloaded, I will open up the file and see the PDF of all the details we've planned out, like I said before, on the screen, all the details there, all the part numbers, all the imagery, and also some pertinent details. If I was the designer, say I was putting an island out there or something like that, it's giving me the how far out these doors will go and the kind of the swing motion that we're looking forward to. This is that top elevation drawing, like I said, written down as well as a visual, and that front elevation, as we see here in this page, is showing me the door height with regards to gaps and information like that. And if I scroll back behind, we start to see some of the details with regards to embedding that pocket on a countertop or letting it sit there. It's up to us to decide from whatever position we're going to do the design with. So like I said, as we get through this information, I advise highly that we print this PDF, and it accompanies all the panels on the shop floor once they're off the CNC machine. And this will give us all the details and any specific parts that we need to cut, as well as, which I like to show right at the end here because there's so many pages, this is the data that you're creating for your CNC machine. So that way they can look at these components in a print form and go, okay, what is this part here? And in this instance, this is going to be the left inner pocket side, and it'll show that all the processes has been completed, and then the parts will connect. So they can just confirm the parts that they need and showing you all the details with regards to dimensionals and thicknesses and all that kind of stuff. Very cool output, especially if I just want to make sure that all the parts I've created are going to match when I'm onto the table. So from here, we will go into the assembly of the REVEGO next in the production side.